Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilman Gilmore. I'm the councilman of the Great Ward F. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to the community meeting to discuss safety proposal changes for MLK. We have a 6:30 start. We like to start these meetings on time in respect of everybody's time. And that's a great segue into my second point. I just ask that whoever's speaking, that we give that individual and or individuals the respect they deserve, whether you agree or disagree with what they are saying. We want to have a good dialogue and we want to be respectful to everybody, regardless of the differences we share. If we can make sure all the seniors have a seat, so if you should be having to be sitting down and you're 45 and older, we have some seniors in the room. I said 45.
That's right. That's right.
If we can make sure the seniors are all seated. And without further ado, we're going to start. Like I said, I want to start right away. We do have an audience on Zoom as well. We're going to get to some questions on Zoom. But at this point, I will call my chief of staff up, Erica. And where's Lanisha? With Lanisha? Oh, she's still signing people in? If you can have her come up, because we got to start. It's 6:30 now. So we'll get right into it.
Greetings, everybody. I always like to start by getting permission from the oldest person in the room to speak, since I'm not an elder. Would anybody mind giving me permission to speak from my elders?
We give you permission.
Thank you. So yes, my name is Erica Walker. I'm Chief of Staff of Councilman Gilmore, proudly representing this Ward F district right here. This is Lanisha Trent. If you've ever called the office phone, Lanisha's the one that answers. And we put together a guide for you today because we knew this meeting was going to be so packed, and we wanted to make sure that you came not only with answers about this one-way proposal, but we want to provide you with answers with regards to what we do in the council office. So in your guide that you received, there's two guides. It's a senior citizen guide, but we're going to review real quick the Ward F resident resource guide. So we wanted to go over this because it's so important, because a lot of people are, the number one thing is, I didn't know. And we always want to make sure you know, and we want to know how you feel about things because we want to represent your voice. So as you can see, when you first open it, you have the subscribe button. If you are not receiving the newsletter already, raise your hand if you do receive the newsletter. Okay, so the rest of you, go ahead and scan that QR code and sign up to receive our newsletter, because as soon as we hear about something, we tell you about something. We have a bi-weekly news. I'm sorry, it's weekly now. It used to be bi-weekly. We have a weekly newsletter that comes out. And most of the times it's weekly. And we want to let you know about things that are going on, things that your council is going to be voting on, free activities for the youth. We had a youth engagement town hall, and we had almost a dozen presenters talking about what you can do with your child this summer. So if you aren't receiving that information, make sure you're registered, make sure you're registered to receive our newsletter. And then we're highlighting the Ward F website, EverythingWardF.com. You can also get there by going to thepeopleswardf.com. This was one of the first initiatives Councilman Gilmore had on his list. One of my first duties as Chief of Staff was to create a Ward F website, one that was user-friendly. How many of you like the city website? Yeah, I think so. Well, go to EverythingWardF.com. I would love to know how you like ours. We try to make it user-friendly. And you can access all the city services on our homepage in big old buttons with big text that's easy to read. How many of you have been to a city council meeting? Okay, so you know that city council meetings take place on Wednesdays. How many of you know about the caucus that takes place the Monday before? This is when your city council members ask questions about what the administration is proposing. On Wednesdays, they vote, but on Monday is when the real information is gathered and discussed. So in advance of that Monday discussion, Councilman Gilmore, again, one of his first initiatives was to bring this information to the people. We have what we call the caucus before the caucus. It's called a community caucus on Saturdays. Before the Monday caucus, we review with a fine-tooth comb the city council agenda, and we want to hear your feedback. We want to know what questions you have so that Councilman Gilmore can ask them on your behalf on Monday, because the public isn't allowed to speak on Mondays. So I want to make sure you guys have all those dates. They're all recorded. We've been doing this since day one, and all of our recordings are available on YouTube. The Residents Response Center. How many people know that we have a customer service for the city of Jersey City? It's called RRC, Residents Response Center. About years ago, we used to have a department that went around the city looking for problems, looking for potholes, looking for street signs out. They looked for those issues to resolve them. Well, the administration got rid of that department and came in with the Resident Response Center. So instead of being proactive, this administration is reactive, and they rely on you to report the problems. So you are our eyes and ears for this time. Hopefully we'll become more proactive with the future administrations, but you are our eyes and ears. If you see something, you can't just tell your neighbor or tell your friend. You have to report it to the city. So you can do that 3 ways: via cclickfix.com. If you're not computer savvy, you can just call the Resident Response Center and tell them the address of the problem, and they'll write it down for you. Or you can email a picture and that information to rrc@jcnj.org. Then if you don't receive a solution, that's when you bring in your council person and you say, hey, I submitted my C-Click Fix. Here's my ticket number. It's like your receipt, proof that you said something. If it's not resolved, then you tell your council person, here's my receipt. Do something about it, please. You want to,
No, you said it. That's how they go to the stop signs.
The wait list for Jersey City's Housing Authority, it was closed for the longest time. And as soon as it opened, we created a flyer, because we know that things are hidden in a book. You know what they say: if you want to hide something, put it in a book. If you want to hide something, put it in a 3-page manuscript. So we'd like to make pictures, put on Instagram, Facebook, social media. We print them out, drop them off at senior centers. So we create flyers just like this waitlist flyer, so that you can know things as soon as we know them. Again, subscribe to our newsletter so you can know as soon as these types of waitlists open. New Jersey property tax relief. How many of you would like to save on your taxes? Yes. So how many of you know about the senior tax freeze? That if you're a senior citizen, you can freeze your taxes. You can get refunded for every year after that. That first year that you freeze your tax amount freezes at that year. And then the years moving forward, you still have to pay all of your taxes, but you get a refund. But you have to apply for that refund. It's like a rebate program. And it goes back to the first year that you froze your taxes. So if you start this year, in 10 years, you'll get refunded everything from that first amount that you froze it at. We want you guys to join the WardF business directory. If you have a small business, nonprofit, big business, if you own business, if you do business in Jersey City, we want to support you. We want to pat you on the back. We want to give you your flowers. So go ahead and register for our directory, and you'll be highlighted on our website and on social media. If you have events, Lanisha does our social media engagement. You can email her your flyer and a caption, and she'll post it on her social media page for you, especially if it's a nonprofit organization. And we'll also put it in our newsletter. Jersey City Police Department. How many of you know about 201-547-5477? Just a handful. I want you to lock this number in your cell phone. If you need to call 911, call 911 for emergencies, but also call 201-547-5477, because it is the direct line to the dispatch, versus calling 911 goes to the county dispatch, then it has to get rerouted to the city. But still call 911. We also provide you with the East District captains meetings, East District community relations officers information. They hold monthly captains meetings. Sometimes they don't let you know until a week before. East District is famous for that. They'll come out with a Word document, not even a flyer, telling you, hey, we got a meeting in 3 days. So you definitely want to get on their list because sometimes we don't get it in time for our newsletter. Alert JC will, if you sign up for that, they'll tell you about like marathons or big events coming to the city and when to watch out for high traffic activity. City Mapper is a way to learn how to get around the city, whether you use the bus, whether you use VIA, or if you just need your own route. City Mapper is a one-stop shop for traffic knowledge. VIA, how many of you have ridden in one of those purple vans? How many of you have ridden in Lyft or Uber? Okay, if you ride Lyft or Uber, go ahead and download that VIA app because they'll take you anywhere in Jersey City for $2 to $3 instead of paying Uber or Lyft $12 to $20 or more. Anywhere within Jersey City limits. If you're a senior citizen or if you're disabled, you will get picked up door to door. So VIA acts like a substitution or a response to our decreasing bus schedule. So they pick you up like the bus does, like on the main corridors. So you'll have to walk. They won't normally pick you up on the side street. You'll have to walk to the corner of a main street. But it's cheaper than Uber, and you just walk a couple blocks. Again, if you're a senior citizen or disabled, you can call them if you aren't savvy with the app and schedule your ride via the phone. Sure. If there are any able-bodied men that are sitting, if you could stand up and provide a senior citizen or elder a chair, that would be great. Any able-bodied persons, if you could please give up your chairs. There's 2 chairs in the front right here. I promise you, we almost done with this, and when we gonna get to what you here for, the main event. Say hi, John. Hudson County View in the building. And there was another one in the building. Slice of Culture is also here.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. No, the VIA does not go to Bayonne, and we're trying to, for our next, their contract is up, so we're going to try to see if we can get some flexibility with the next service provider for this type of business, because I know if you live on the south side, you're not going to shop right all the way downtown, you're going to Bayonne. So super important. Thank you for that question.
Councilman.
Some literature. If we have extra literature.
She came late, so she didn't know.
Citywide, if you ride bikes, there are places to park your bike all over the city. And the city is also developing an expansion for the city bike system with supportive grant funding. So look out for that information to come down the wire. You can also apply for licenses like taxi licenses, cannabis licenses, rental property registration online. So all these things used to be on paper. We're in 2025 now, so you will have to go online to fill out information, and we have that contact information for the Housing and Economic Development Division. Parking permits. If you live in a zoned parking area and you need a parking permit, that is also done online. If you would like to get your block designated to be resident-only parking during certain times, you must submit a formal request and an application to us, and it requires a petition where you would need to get 85% of your block, of the residents on your block, to say yes, they want it too. And we have petitions here for you today, printed out if you want to take some home and start working on this. I know it's a gift and a curse sometimes, but you talk about that with your block. Every block is different, but especially if you live near a light rail station, this would come in handy with making sure those light rail passengers aren't parking on your block all day and all night.
What if someone is parking? Because on my block, we have it already, but there's a lot of people that park on our block where the residents don't have parking.
So I'm gonna wait for all the questions because we have the traffic division here, and they're better equipped to answer those specific type of questions. But we can give you the information of how to apply and things like that, and help you, of course, start your petitions. Healthier JC. How many of you have ever used Find Help? Healthier JC. Find Help. So this is where you can find all the nonprofit organizations that work inside Jersey City or around Jersey City. They register with the city. And if you need assistance, if you need food assistance, housing assistance, education assistance, legal assistance, you can go on this website, you put in your demographics, you put in your age, your income, and you find programs that you possibly qualify for. So definitely reach out to us if you want to learn how to use any of these tools. We are happy to help you learn how to use these tools, but we want to make sure you at least know that they exist. That's my daddy. Thank you for coming. We also want to make sure you know about the adult mental health first aid training. We unfortunately didn't find out about this until it was voted on during a council meeting. And so then we requested flyers for it. But for years, we found out the city has been hosting training sessions to help people get certified in providing mental health first aid training. See, promotion is one of the biggest problems that the city has. So we take promotion seriously in our office, and we want to make sure you know what we know as soon as we know it. Subscribe.
Make that announcement because they can scan the QR code and
If we run out of seating, or if you're texting a friend and they're asking you, hey, can I still come? Go ahead and tell them to join on the Zoom. You can the Zoom links you can find. We have them in the hallway, up in the hallway. But we're running out of seating, and due to fire codes, we don't want to get in any type of trouble. We don't want to get this meeting shut down. That's what they don't want, right? So, so tell a friend that we do have a Zoom link. It is available, and I'll share it again after I get down. Ruby is a bus. Anybody ever seen this big red bus that's going around? It's a portable bathroom for the unhoused. So if there's unhoused people hanging around your church parking lot or the light rail station, give us a call. Let us know how to add that location to this bus stop. Okay. And then we also wanted to let you guys know about 988. It's a suicide and crisis lifeline. So if you know someone who is suffering, who needs someone to talk to, you might not feel comfortable holding that conversation, tell them about 988. Someone will answer and talk them down. Then volunteers. We are always looking for volunteers. And if you sign up, be certain that we will give you a call and ask you to do what you've signed up to do, whether it be community cleanups, content creation, data collection, data entry, canvassing, event planning, flyer distribution, phone banking. If you would like to host your own community cleanup, we will provide brooms, pickers, dustpans, trash bags, gloves, and we'll make the flyer for you. All you have to do is organize the people and give the stuff back. Thank you. Everybody registered to vote? Awesome. You know, we have the redistricting. So if you don't know where your new voting polling place is, you can scan the second QR code to find your polling place. And you can scan that third QR code to confirm that you are indeed registered where you're supposed to be registered. And then last but not least, the contact information. Go ahead and save this information in your cell phone. Make sure you have Councilman Gilmore's email address, our office number, our cell phone number, and of course, EverythingWardF.com, where you can sign up for office hours. We have office hours for all constituents every Thursdays. And don't leave without a magnet. We have all of our contact information on a refrigerator magnet that you can pick up after today's meeting.
You taking questions now?
No, ma'am. So we just want to make sure you got your WardF resource guide. It's packed with valuable information. We want you to know what we know. And now it's time for the one-way part of the presentation. We will be taking questions after the conversation. Councilman Gilmore is going to do a quick introduction, and then we're going to follow up with the top concerns. We had over 700 respondents, so we want to let you know, again, what we know and what we've heard you tell us. And we've also created a list of frequently asked questions. We passed out that list, so if your question is on this list, no need for you to come up or sign up to speak or line up to speak. We will get these questions answered today by the Department of Infrastructure and Transit.
if they don't have it, raise their hand and we'll make sure that they.
If your question is not listed here, you can raise your hand and we'll put it in the lineup.
Well, not listed, but if they don't have a paper.
Oh, if you don't have a paper, let anybody with a WardF t-shirt know.
Okay. Thank you, Erica. I do want to make sure everyone understand the process of how this works. So essentially, you're going to hear a presentation by the infrastructure department. The only way anything can be approved is denied is on the council level. And depending on what it is, you need 5 votes to either say yay or nay. So it would be either voted up or voted down. For so long in our community, we will get the plan when the decision have already been made. That is something that I've pledged that we will no longer allow. So as long as though I'm councilman of Ward F. So I just want to give you guys a brief background on how we get here. This proposal was in place before I came in office. I first heard of this proposal via Michelle Massey, who at that time was head of the Jackson Hill SID. The mayor didn't want to touch it back then because election year was coming up, and he didn't want to cause any chaos in that election year because he had individuals on his slate that was running for re-election. In 2021, I get elected. Me, Michael, we meet with Mayor Phillip, and he briefly bring this proposal up. And immediately I said, go to the community, get their input, and see what they think about the proposal. He said, Frank, I think it's a good idea. I think it's something that'll help curb violence. I think it's something that would deter violence. I was like, be that as it may, still just go talk to the community, get their input, because for so long, we had people that was underrepresented for decisions that directly affect their day-to-day life. Fast forward 18 months later, he sent me a text. Hey, Frank, can you talk? Sure, Mayor, give me a little while. I'll call you. So I called him. He said, hey, Frank, I just want to follow up. Do you have any thoughts on the proposal for the one-way? I said, Steve, my position is the same. If you think it's something good, go talk to the community. Let them be a part of the decision making. He said, Frank, I've been in politics for a while. You need to start thinking about your legacy. If you want to be a leader, you go and let them know that this is what you support. And I was like, Steve, well, if you think it's a good plan, I think it will be beneficial to everybody if you conduct a community meeting, right? And then the conversation went there from there. And then one Sunday or Saturday night, I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see a tweet. And I was confused at first, and I just looked at it. And then Chris had texted me and said, did y'all talk about this? And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, where'd you get that from? That's inaccurate. He's like, no, the mayor tweeted this. And I was like, I seen the tweet. I ain't see that portion. So when I went back, I looked. He was like, oh, big proposals is coming for the city, upgrade infrastructure, RBT, and all this. So I said, are there any renderings available to talk about the proposal? Because I don't come from that world. I don't know what rapid bus transit looked like or anything. So I asked the question, and he said, well, it's pretty much self-explanatory. And I was like, no, it's not self-explanatory to people like us because we don't understand it or whatever. So, of course, some people who were, pro the change, and again, everybody's well within their right to be pro or against the change as it is. That's your right? Most times people is pro or for something because it's in their best interest, and that's fine. That's human nature. You want to do what's in your best interest. But I wanted to have this meeting, and I actually asked the mayor. I said, can we do a community meeting? He said, Frank, I'm not going to do a community meeting because we have a first reading and a second reading. And I was like, that's extremely unfair. First of all, you put out a tweet without no renderings, without no context or concept or how this would look, and you're looking to revamp a whole corridor, and at the very so you don't want to do a meeting? He's like, well, if the council people want to do meetings, I said, oh, well, we're gonna do a meeting. We definitely gonna do a meeting. So I reached out to infrastructure. They've obliged to come here to look at the plan. In full transparency, I still have not seen the plan. I have not seen the plan, but I did wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to, one, give them the opportunity to present it, and two, to include whatever feedback necessary. We did take internal surveys on our end, just so I can make sure I'm representing the interests of the community, because that's the job that I, swore to do, to protect the interests of the community. So we've done our due diligence as it relates to that. And again, the infrastructure department was tasked with, you guys have renderings and everything, right? So they were tasked with executing that portion to see exactly. No, let them do the presentation and then we will do that. So they have obliged to come here and do this. And I will just say this before we go on. And I don't even know if this is true, Barker. Well, I know in my heart it's true, but some people are trying to say that I'm anti safety improvement or anti this. No office have worked with infrastructure more for safety improvements than my office. I guarantee you that. And I don't even know how many of the other council people they talk to, but I can definitively tell you that, right? This is something that we take serious, because just like most other people, I have children too. So I just wanted to dispel that, and we want to really get into the meat and bolts of the facts of what is going on, because opinions differ, but let's get into the facts. All right. So we will let I guess Parker or Mike do the presentation for the proposal and how it will look. We would take some questions, and again, just be respectful. Rather, it doesn't matter where you at. If you're for or against it, please be respectful, and let's have meaningful dialogue, right? Let's make sure that this work the right way. Have some meaningful dialogue, because I wholeheartedly believe that we can really get something. We can get something done. So Barker, Mike, and your team, I'll turn it over to you guys.
I'll just hold it.
If it's showing, we don't know. I know we gotta bring it down for you a little bit right there.
Oh, for Zoom.
Yeah, for Zoom.
Okay. Good? Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Councilman. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is that better? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Barka Patel. Thank you all for your time and giving us the time to be here today. And I'm going to jump right into it because there's a lot to discuss. So we are here to discuss two topics. The first is the main one that I think most people are here for today, which is the one-ways proposal. And then the second is the long-range transportation plan for the city. We have a stop time of about 8 p.m., but we will commit to staying here until every question that we can answer is answered. And if we can't get to anything today, you will have ways of reaching out to us after today's meeting. But the goal is the 8 p.m. stop time. And the way that we're going to use that time is the following. We're going to go through a quick presentation of what we have prepared so that everyone can see visually how this idea would actually work on the ground, what the pros and cons are, logistics, existing conditions, all of that stuff. And you'll see that on the screen presented by the team. Right after that, we will go through the question and answer. We will start with the list that the councilman's office has prepared of the most frequently asked questions that over 700 people have submitted, because we want to get to those first. Anything that's not covered in that list is what we will go to afterwards, and we'll have a dialogue on anything that we haven't answered. I expect that questions will come up that we won't have the answers to today for a couple of reasons. One is that either we just don't know and we need more time to think about what's being asked of us before we give you the right answer. Two is that it may be something that's either not in our purview. We are one of the 8 departments of the city, so we won't know everything, or that it's something that's a decision that's higher than us that we may just not know. I learned a lot from what Councilman Gilmore said just today that I didn't know. and I'm also piecing together a lot of information about this project. So please bear with me, but I want to just be honest and say we may not be able to answer every question. And I want to say that up front because I know that may be frustrating, but the most important thing for us is to maintain transparency and to not spread misinformation about this project. There's already so much out there that hasn't been said from us. So I want to make sure you get the technical information that we know. It may not be the full picture, but it's what we know, and that's all that we can share today. So that's regarding the one ways. The second topic, if we get to it and if people have the mental energy to entertain it, is the long-range transportation plan. Every 10 years, municipalities in New Jersey are required to update their long-range plan, which every town has, and there are elements within the master plan. They include things like transportation, but also land use, open space, essentially how a city grows and develops over the long term. The last time that the overall transportation plan for the city of Jersey City was updated was over 10 years ago, before any of us were even working for the city. There was, different leadership in place, different staff in place, and priorities were different. The city hadn't grown the way that it's grown, all of the development, all of the changes. So over the next year, the staff are going to be going through that exercise, and they had already planned this for months. So we will have information and surveys about that here today for anyone who wants to engage with that. But I fully understand that there are more urgent things on all of our minds. So if we don't get to that today, that's fine. There will be plenty of other opportunities to do that. At another time, we will share that information. So lastly, I'm gonna just say, we're gonna go through the presentation. The people who are gonna present the information to you are the city's staff. They are the city's 3 transportation planners and 1 traffic engineer. They have prepared this information since the plan was publicly announced, as you heard from the councilman, by the mayor on June 27th of 2025. So the plan was publicly announced. We were given direction to put together what that idea would look like. And so they've developed high-level concepts. As you can imagine, in a month's time, we've done the best we could to put together as much information as possible, but it's not going to be every detail. It's not going to be, every question that has come up. But I will ask everyone before they start speaking to introduce themselves with their name and their title, so you know who is speaking to you and what their position is with the city. And we're going to start with Lindsay, so I'll hand it over. And thank you, everyone, for your time. We will be quick with this and then go into the Q&A.
Thanks, Barca. Thanks, Councilman Gilmore and your team. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time tonight. We are going to try to be quick with our presentation because we know we have a lot of questions to answer. So I will get right to it. Make sure am I able to?
The mouse right there.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Lindsay Schofield. One second. Let me just make sure. And we actually already have questions, so we're okay there. Oop, sorry, I'm having some issues with the tech. Oop, sorry. Yes, I will. Thank you. It's like a little lagged. Okay. Oh, hang on. Sorry. It's like lagging a little bit. Okay. I think it's good. All right. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. My name is Lindsay Schofield. I'm a senior transportation planner with the Department of Infrastructure. I'm a fellow Jersey City resident. I'm a user of the 87, the 8, and the 6 buses. When I first started working for the city, I was taking the 87 every day. So I try to use that experience and apply it to the work of planning transportation in the city. And I wanted to start off with some of our overall transportation goals and how something like the one-way pairs could fit into the goals of the city. So among the goals are 1, to create an inclusive transportation system that works for people of all ages, all abilities, all backgrounds. It's to achieve and maintain zero traffic deaths and serious injuries on our streets, so making our streets safer. It's to have clean and green and sustainable modes of transportation so that we have better air quality, better water quality. It's to increase the resiliency of our community to extreme weather and disruptions, and to support our growing population with transportation that is affordable, that's convenient, that's reliable, and is safe.
Which you mean bikes and the mopeds, right?
It will include a whole bunch of different types of modes. So we want to talk about why focus on the north-south corridors in the city. So as you all know, Jersey City is longer north-south than east-west. And so it's really these north-south running streets that are connecting our key destinations. It's the streets that we all want to use. And so we find that these streets are the ones that are used by all of us the most heavily. So it's whether you're driving, whether you're taking the bus, whether you're bicycling, whether you're walking or rolling, these are the streets that you're using most often. And so what we've done is just highlighted on the next slide. These are the corridors that we're looking at. So I know that MLK and Ocean were mentioned in the tweet, but our team wanted to look at all of the north-south corridors. So that's West Side Avenue, JFK, Bergen, MLK, Ocean, Garfield, and how
Please keep it down, people. We want to get through this as quick as possible so we can get some questions answered. If you can please just let her get through our presentation.
Thank you. And as we get into Journal Square, Summit Avenue and Baldwin Avenue connect up further north in the city. So in the city, we have a Vision Zero plan. Within that plan, we analyze where the most traffic fatalities and injuries are happening on city streets. And so we have something called the high injury network. These are the streets that have the most number and the most severe crashes. On just those 7 north-south streets that are under the city's jurisdiction, over 350 crashes have occurred over just a 5-year period. More than 1 out of 3 of those crashes injured a pedestrian, and 12% of those injured cyclists. And across the entire city, over a 10-year period, 1 out of every 4 traffic fatalities or serious injuries occurred on one of these 7 streets. So they're places where the most severe injuries are happening to people using these streets. That's on average 2 people being killed and more than 7 people being seriously injured every single year on these streets. We've also, over the years, conducted various studies. So one of these studies was called JC on the Move, and we analyzed traffic patterns, trip patterns. We saw where people are going, how they're getting around, and we also analyzed where there are transit deserts that aren't served by enough transit, especially as there have been cuts over the years, and also where there are environmental justice areas where there's higher levels of need for things like transit. So that's where these pink areas of the map on the right-hand side are. And you see the line that's going through north-south. That was one of the areas that was identified that you could have something like bus rapid transit, which we'll get into what that is in the presentation. But it showed that if you were to improve bus service along that corridor, you could improve mobility and improve the ability to get to different destinations for these really important areas of the city that are could benefit from better transit service, better bus service. So that brings us into how we can use street space to reallocate the space to move more people more effectively. So this graphic, what it's showing is how different modes of transportation can impact street capacity or basically how many people can move through a street in a given hour. So at the top, you see private motor vehicles. So because being in a car, you're taking up a lot of space, and cars need space between them. They need room to decelerate and accelerate at the lights. So they can move about 600 to 1,600 people per hour in a lane of traffic. The next step below that is when you add in a frequent bus like the 87 that's operating with the traffic, you can move more people because obviously the bus is carrying a bunch of people. So then you've got 1,000 to 2,800 people in the lane being moved per hour. So it helps us be able to move more people more quickly through the city, especially as the city is growing. If you look at dedicated transit lanes, so that's a couple lines down. So if we have a bus lane where the bus can move and it's not getting stuck in traffic, it's able to get right up to the traffic signal. As soon as the light turns green, it can go on. It doesn't have to wait for the cars in front of it. When you have a dedicated transit lane, you're able to speed up the bus service. You can add more service on the bus route, and you can move a ton of people. So instead of moving 600 to 1,600 people per hour, you're moving 4,000 to 8,000 people per hour. So it helps to reduce the traffic congestion because the buses are more reliable, they're more on time. And so that's why we're looking at ways that we might be able to implement projects that could help us make the most of the street space and improve bus service for both people using it and for more people to use the bus. So when we think about using the limited space that we have, we only have so much right of way in the city. The idea is that on the left is two parallel two-way streets. So those are typical streets where you have one lane going in each direction. And then on the right is when we think about converting a street to one-way, one street could go northbound and one street could go southbound. And so then the space that is left over can be used for a different use, such as a bus lane, or it can, and the idea is that it can maintain the parking that already exists on the corridor. And so if we're thinking about moving more people, improving the mobility, we can usually have two choices to do that within the limited space that we have. One is to convert a two-way street to one-way street, and that involves maintaining the parking that exists. The other way is to maintain the two-way travel, but if you were to add something like a dedicated bus lane, then you would have to remove on-street parking. And so there's pros and cons to both of these types of approaches. And we'll get into a lot of those in the presentation. Mike will address a lot of them. But one thing that we do see with the one-way option is that there is better potential to include a lot of safety improvements from that. So we'll talk through a lot of the details of that as we go on. So now I will turn it over to Mike to get into the details of the proposal.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking the time again. I'll echo what Bergen and Lindsay said to come out and talk tonight. My name's Mike Manzella. I'm the Director of Transportation Planning for the City of Jersey City. And I'm gonna jump right into what the proposal is that we're talking about today. Oh, this mouse is super sensitive, so forgive me if I skip this. Okay. So as was discussed earlier, what was originally announced was a one-way pair on MLK Drive and Ocean Avenue. And as Lindsay so astutely mentioned, we were tasked with taking a look at north-south mobility and to take a look at the whole picture, right? So we took a look at these 7 corridors, and we took a look at the distance between them, right? The walking distance between the various streets. We looked at the transit routes that are running on those streets. And we also have data because, as Barca had mentioned, we are kicking off the Transportation Master Plan update. We have data from NJ Transit in terms of what the ridership is, what the current delay is on the bus routes. And when we looked at all those things and took them all together, and again, we were tasked with looking at this, and we were asked, okay, well, what streets do you think would make the most sense if you were going to do a one-way pair? And when our team took a look at it from an objective point of view, we felt that Bergen and MLK Drive were the better one-way pair than MLK and Ocean. The reasons are Bergen and MLK are a shorter walking distance between the two streets. Between MLK and Ocean, there's actually a significant grade difference. Big hill everyone knows about. So much closer together. And also the bus routes that already run on Bergen and MLK Drive pretty much go in the same direction, the same destinations. The 8 on Bergen Ave goes to Journal Square. The 87 on MLK Drive also goes to Journal Square and then beyond. So taking a look at all those corridors, this is what we're looking to propose. Here are some of the existing conditions that helped drive that decision. Oh, skipped ahead, hold on. Okay. This map shows the existing transit ridership in the city, in certain, the southern part of the city, sort of south of Communipop. The line weight thicknesses show the various transit riderships. So if you see in the chart on the left here, the 87 is actually the highest ridership bus line in the city. There's almost 10,000 people who ride the 87 every day on an average weekday. And then on the right here, what you have are some of the statistics we were able to run about the demographics of the community within a quarter mile of both Bergen Avenue and MLK Drive. 41% car-free households, 80% of households with less than 2 cars, so 1 or 0 cars, and 36% of people who take public transit to work. Oh. Okay, here's some of the reliability data that we received from NJ Transit. And I have to say, we were pretty surprised by some of the data that we got back. Because the buses are in mixed traffic, they really do run both early and late to their bus stops. And on the 87 on MLK Drive, only 54% of those northbound buses are on time by the time they get to Communipop Avenue. So many of you I know ride the 87 and you live it every day. The bus may not come on time. There may be large bunches of buses. There might be large gaps between the buses. It's very unreliable to know where you're looking to go when you need to get there. And here's just some photos that you all experience every day. And you can see the buses, these are 287 buses lined right up in a row, stuck in the northbound traffic. Here's another image of the buses. Okay, so those are the existing conditions. Now we'll get into what are the design concepts that have been developed when looking at this one-way pair. So the proposal would be to convert both Bergen Avenue and MLK Drive to one-way travel for vehicles and repurpose 1 lane in each direction on those 2 streets. What are some of the benefits of that? There are safety benefits for everyone using the street because what it would do is eliminate turning conflicts. So, for example, at an intersection right now with two-way travel, you have two-way travel looking to make left turns, sometimes onto the one-way street, and there's opposing traffic on those streets at those intersections. So what it does is it endangers pedestrians who are crossing with the green because vehicles are trying to make gaps in the left turn to make their left turn movement in the opposing traffic, and it makes everyone has to be more aware as they're making those turning movement conflicts because of those small gaps in traffic. So what are some of the other opportunities? As Lindsay had mentioned, the reallocated space can be rededicated to bus traffic. One of the other benefits that we took a look at when we were looking at this concept was if the streets do end up going one way and the bus service runs on one street in one direction and the other street in the other direction, what that actually does is eliminate half the bus stops along the corridor on one side of the street. There would still be the same frequency of bus stops in the direction of travel for the buses, but what that actually does is allow those bus stops to be repurposed as parking spaces. So at a very high level, we estimate that could net 120 spaces along these two corridors. And then with these two corridors, the 8 and the 87, as I mentioned, really run similar routes to similar destinations. Obviously, there are impacts to this, right? There'll certainly be an increase in vehicular congestion. I think that's a given. And the walking distance for some riders will be impacted for sure. So here are just some high-level diagrams of what this would look like. So for the entire length of Bergen and MLK Drive in Monticello, it would be going from 2 lanes on both streets, or 2 directional traffic on both streets, to one northbound, 1 southbound for the length of the streets. And then on this slide, you show the 8 bus, its route in pink, and the 87 bus in green. And as you can see, they run parallel to each other. So one of the benefits of, if this were to be something that was to move forward, would be that basically those 2 routes can be combined, and NJ Transit would then be able to use sort of the funding for those 2 routes to be able to provide more frequent service on this new combined 887 route. So here's just a very high level sort of overview, plan view of just a picture, sort of, so you can kind of see what this could look like. Bergen and MLK have very similar cross sections. They're 1 lane of traffic in each direction with parking on each side. So this is what each of the streets would look like. So here's Bergen Avenue in the southbound direction. Again, so you retain the southbound vehicular lane, you repurpose that northbound vehicular lane with a southbound dedicated bus lane. And then this would be MLK Drive, same thing. So the northbound vehicular travel lane would remain, and the southbound vehicular travel lane will be replaced with the northbound dedicated bus lane. So what are the impacts and benefits at a very high level summary? Whoop, too far. Oh. Can I click?
Yeah.
I don't think it's letting me click. All right. So for transit riders, dedicated bus lanes are one component, which is what is known as bus rapid transit. The idea with bus rapid transit is that bus service gets its own dedicated space on the street to operate more frequently. There are other elements of what actually makes a bus rapid transit service in terms of all-door boarding and sort of level platform curbs. But in essence, the main component of a bus rapid transit system is a dedicated right-of-way for bus riders. So for transit riders, this would mean faster and more reliable bus service and the potential for more frequent bus service. But as we mentioned, certainly some trips will require walking an extra block to get to that southbound or northbound bus stop. For pedestrians, as we mentioned, safer crossings at the intersection with fewer conflicts, as there wouldn't be 2 directions of travel looking to make turns at those intersections. And for cyclists, there is the same sort of benefit for cyclists as pedestrians, and there is an opportunity, with that extra street space to use the bus lanes, which would be less comfortable, but is still an opportunity. And then for drivers, as we mentioned, the reduction of bus stops in one direction on each street would result in a net parking increase. But certainly there would be, as we mentioned, congestion impacts and rerouting of normal trips. For emergency services, there is an opportunity for the ambulances, the fire trucks, the police vehicles to use the bus lanes when there is traffic, and which could reduce response times. But also we recognize that there are some trips that would require alternate routes, obviously, for emergency response. Just one case study to look at as an example, and this is not meant to be applied specifically to each project, as this would need to be further evaluated. But in Manhattan on 14th Street, there was a busway that was instituted, and increased bus speeds by about 24% and ridership
You
by
guys,
30%.
please keep it down. He's almost finished. He's coming to the conclusion of the proposal, y'all. We're trying to make sure they get the proposal and we get some questions answered. We can't do that unless and until we afford them the opportunity to present the presentation.
Okay, this is the last slide. So these are what would be possible next steps. So, you know, we're here tonight to hear your feedback. There would be additional meetings if this were to move forward, obviously, as it moves forward towards design of a project, if it should be approved. And there is a significant amount of analysis that our team would need to undergo to make sure that, you know, we're really accommodating all road users in the best way possible. And then there would be a design process. We would have to engage New Jersey Transit and really go through what that, you know, detailed design looks like so that it could be built out. That's, you know, we promised we would be brief. That's the end of our presentation. And I think at this point we can move on to questions and answers.
Yeah, we have, let's go, let's get these frequently asked questions done. But before you do that, Mike, I do just want to say this. Oh my goodness, y'all. I really wish the mayor was here today. I really wish the mayor was here today because this is bad leadership. Within 30 days, we went from a proposal that was on Ocean and MLK to MLK and Bergen and including Monticello, and no community input. And this is the problem in a nutshell we have with this administration. He didn't even have the wherewithal to attend the meeting to hear the concerns, but he's been going through to all of these. Oh my God! Let's just get into some to the Q&As, y'all, because this is really bad leadership on the behalf of the mayor. This is really bad leadership. Yes. If we can get the Q&As, if you guys would just.
I think we all will.
If your question is in or around the Q&A sheet, fine. And if it's not, we'll still afford some time for people to ask their questions. But in the interest of time, if you guys have a question that's similar to someone else, we don't need you to magnify that because it's going to be well received. So, Mike, if we can get through the Q&As portion,
Is that the only mic? Erica?
there should be some in the
Okay.
closet.
So the first question on the list from the frequently asked questions is what traffic studies were conducted to assess the impact of converting Ocean Avenue and MLK Drive to one-way streets? So as I mentioned in the presentation, we took a very high-level look of traffic data that we have available to us just to understand sort of what the north-south flows are on each of the corridors. You know, the next step would be to take a look at what the specific traffic impact would be on these corridors, as well as the side streets and other corridors.
I'll just introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Wong. I'm the Director of Traffic Engineering for Jersey City. So for the traffic studies, obviously there's a lot to go over. We need to collect data. We need to collect traffic volume data. We need to collect speed and time studies for the drivers that are traveling through these streets, the buses. We need to look at, school activity that's happening on these corridors. We need to look at emergency access. We everything that you're thinking, we're considering as well. These are things that we need to continue looking and reviewing. When you found out, we found out. So we're trying to try to put this plan together and make sure that we have everyone's input and we're doing the right thing by collecting the data and doing the analysis properly.
So, hold on. So to be clear, there haven't been any studies done yet? So just to be clear, there haven't been any studies yet. All right? Is that?
As far as traffic.
As far as traffic. All right, well, let's get the questions in. We're gonna move along. There haven't been any studies yet. Let's get through this, people. I think we can do this.
Okay.
Can you please explain the difference between a traffic study for a corridor versus a citywide? Just explain the difference.
Okay. She's gone. Yeah.
So I was asked to explain the difference between a citywide study and a traffic study. So I'll explain what a traffic study is because I'm a traffic engineer. That is more into the traffic volume, the pedestrian volume, the cyclists, the buses that travel through these streets, and trying to accommodate the flow of traffic through these streets, so make it optimized. We need to consider traffic signal timing changes that might need to happen to improve flow on these streets. So all of those things are considered in traffic studies, including crash history and safety improvements. I don't know, Mike, if you want to go over citywide.
So from a citywide perspective, as Barker mentioned in the beginning, we are conducting the transportation master plan update right now, where we do have data sources that sort of have the traffic volume so that we can look at sort of the trip patterns that happen throughout the city by each mode and evaluate what kind of changes could happen on each street or what kind of new transit services could be introduced to move people more effectively. So the second question is, how will this change affect traffic congestion during peak hours, and what mitigation strategies are planned? I think it's a similar response to the question. I think as part of a traffic study that would happen on these corridors, as Jen mentioned, there would be traffic volumes collected, and we would look at what delay increase would be experienced over the corridor in terms of travel time. We don't have a number right now to say like X percent it will be increased, but I think we are saying here that we know that there will be a delay increase if you were to convert the streets to one-way. Were alternative traffic calming or safety measures such as speed humps, curb extensions, or signal timing changes considered before proposing a one-way conversion? I will say that our department has worked very hard on trying to identify safety issues. As Lindsay mentioned, there is a Vision Zero action plan that identified a high injury network, and the city has, and our department has very diligently over the years installed many speed humps. I think you see them around the city and doing curb extensions. We certainly are open to more suggestions about where we can prioritize and where we can put some more safety measures on those streets, and I think that's part of the conversation we want to get to with the transportation master plan update. But these are things that we're assessing every day. We get a lot of requests every day from all of you about safety concerns around the corridor and where we can add improvements. Does anyone want to add anything to that? For public transit, how will NJ Transit and other bus services be affected by this change, and have they been consulted? As we mentioned, obviously, with having dedicated space for buses, the studies have shown we do anticipate that there would be an improvement in terms of bus reliability and on-time performance, and a possibility of greater frequency. We shared this with NJ Transit at a very high level. Again, this was a very short turnaround, and they did seem to indicate that there would be an improvement in bus time and reliability, but obviously more studies would need to be done, and there would have to be a lot more consultation with NJ Transit if these changes were going to move forward. What accommodations will be made for seniors and residents with mobility challenges who may face longer walking distance to bus stops? It is certainly a concern of ours, and something we would love to hear feedback on. We have in the past looked at opportunities either with the VIA JC program or some other program to be able to provide some east-west public transit service, because many, as we saw on the map with lines, all the New Jersey Transit bus stops really run north-south in this part of the city, and there isn't a lot of good east-west connectivity. So one thing that could be considered as this, if this were to move forward, is how can we, perhaps through VIA or some other service, provide some east-west connectivity so that if someone is a little bit further from the bus stop, they might at least have an opportunity to take a bus to get to.
It's almost finished,
What
y'all. We're
steps are
halfway
being
through.
taken to ensure that the impacts of this project do not disproportionately burden Black and Brown communities among the corridor? This is something that we take very seriously, and we really want to hear your feedback about how we can best serve the community that's here, and what are the ways through the transportation master plan, what are the ways that you get around the city now, and how do you want to get around in the future? That's the information we really want to get to and get that input. How does this proposal align with the city's stated goals for equitable infrastructure investment in Ward F? So this proposal is an opportunity, an idea to look at how infrastructure can be improved. I think all of us up here are open to other ideas that we definitely want to hear from you all. How will pedestrian safety be addressed, particularly in intersections where turning volumes may be increased?
Y'all please keep it down. People, I just want to reiterate that, listen, they can, listen, you gotta wait, they're gonna answer the questions. This is only a proposal. It's not even on the council agenda or anything. It is only a proposal. You have to have dialogue. That's the only way you can get to understand the pros, the cons, and the benefits, and you have to have dialogue. No one is being dismissive of anyone's position.
And so we want to make sure that everybody understands the questions that they're answering right now is actually the questions that most of you already asked in the poll that you filled out on the form. I know that you guys want to voice your opinion, but we want to make sure.
Just let them get to, just let them get to the
question.
Yeah, go, Mike, go to the next one. Use that speaker right there.
She asked that we read it, they answer it.
Can you just read the questions and they'll
Where did you start?
Okay.
Start with the questions. Okay, so pedestrian and cyclist and emergency access. These were questions that was asked by most of you guys in the room. How will pedestrian safety be addressed, particularly at intersections where turning volumes may increase? You can use the mic right
Okay, for pedestrian safety,
I want to make sure Zoom can
where
hear.
turning volumes may be increased. For signalized intersections, we can introduce something called leading pedestrian intervals. So that would be an interval that allows the pedestrians to enter the street before vehicles are traversing the intersection. So all the vehicles would have a red light and the pedestrians would be able to cross the street ahead of the vehicles.
Thank you. Will dedicated bike lanes be added, and if so, how will they coexist with vehicular traffic and other parking needs?
We don't need no bike.
Yes, you're gonna get your turn to speak.
The proposal that we shared.
Yes, we're gonna get to your concern now. The more you guys interject, the longer it's gonna take for us to get to your question. So please be respectful to the speaker.
Well.
Yeah, answer the question,
Mike. If you would like to
Mike.
start formulating a line right here, that's fine, so that we can get to your questions, because we're almost done.
Yeah, just keep going through the questions.
Please do not cut to the front of the line. Please go to the back of the line for those that's already standing.
Just wait for it to be quiet and then.
If we can just have order in the room, please, so that she can answer the question, and I think it's 5 more questions after that on this sheet.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, the question was about dedicated bike lanes. In our proposal that we just presented, we felt that it made more sense to have a dedicated bus lane. if we want to have the conversation of having dedicated bikes, we can have that conversation, but at this time, the proposal was focusing more on dedicated bus lanes.
All right, next
What
question.
provisions are being made to ensure emergency vehicles, fire trucks, ambulance can respond quickly under the new traffic configuration?
That is a conversation that we'll need to have with the emergency service officials. That's still something that needs to happen.
What analysis has been done on the potential economical impact for local businesses whose visibility and accessibility may be reduced?
None at this time, but if this were to move forward, we absolutely would get the businesses, the business owners involved. We need to get all of the stakeholders involved with this conversation.
Okay, thank you. Transparency and process. Why was there no early public meeting before announcing the plan on social media?
We don't have any.
We don't have an answer to that question.
Will updated renderings and detailed impact studies be made available to the public before any council vote?
We can certainly post this presentation before any council vote happens. We can do that after this meeting.
What is the timeline for implementation, and will there be opportunities for community feedback to influence final design?
We are not aware of the timeline for implementation. There's a lot, as I stated, that has to happen in terms of design before any kind of implementation.
Stop them all from talking.
All right, last question.
I got you. All right, listen up, y'all. All right, listen up real quick because we're about to get into questions. I need to reiterate over and over again that there's no ordinance, there's nothing taking place at all. This is a meeting to discuss so that, and the mayor really did a disservice to everything. And we already discussed that, but you have to respect the experts that are up here in the city because they are just buffers. And when the mayor says something, these are agencies in the city that have to prepare something in response to what a man said. So there's nothing taking place right now. So please get people off the barbecue skewer. These are not the enemies up here. These are people that's trying to provide answers and they don't have the answers because the leader of the city said something in the hand. So now here's what we're going to do for these questions. If you ask the same question that's on the sheet, then we're just going to respectfully say we're not going to answer it because it was on the sheet. But if you want to express concerns and put them on record, because we are having this meeting recorded, we have Hudson County View here, we got all these opinions and viewpoints that are going to be on the record. Because this is not an official council meeting, but this is a forum where your voice is heard and everybody, because Steve is going to listen and he's going to run back and all that. So we're going to have discussion, but please, if you ask the same question, we're just going to say we answered that already, okay? But if you want to express yourself, don't attack anybody up here because they're not the enemy.
Last
So
question.
we're gonna ask that you step right here. I'm gonna hold the mic. We want to just keep order and everybody gets a minute.
No,
These no longer than a minute?
It's only questions. Only questions. Go ahead, Oliver. You stay there. Bring the mic to let's sit down.
I'm not asking a question. I'm telling you a question. I did my own surgery. I'm in a summer camp for 6 weeks. It's on MLK and MacDougal and Warner. I watched New Jersey Transit buses come in the morning to pick people up. They come 2 and 3 buses back to back. Right? They make their own traffic jam. My grandson did the bus on Ocean. They run that bus every half an hour to 45 minutes, and there's no traffic jam. We need to do better about surveying stuff because you need to think about the senior citizen. And I surveyed this city, and I watched what you guys are trying to do, and it's not going to happen. I've been here 77 years, and I never heard of such of what we're trying to do in my community right now. New Jersey's transit is full of mess. You took took the Central bus out of our city. You took the Lafayette Greenwood bus out of our city. The Jersey Transit took the 16 bus out of our city. These are all buses in Bergen and Lafayette that left from one end of Jersey near Curry Woods, City Line, to Jones Square, to downtown, to get the train to New York. You all let them, and they made Madison Street with a Central bus ran, a one-way street. We had a two-way street for years. We're not sleeping with this. This is not happening. So y'all can answer all the questions you want. It ain't happening.
All right. Next question.
First, I have a statement. Okay, this was first supposed to be MLK and Ocean. Now all of a sudden it's Bergen Avenue. Bergen Avenue has a lot of schools right now on Bergen Avenue. And the traffic already on Bergen Avenue in the morning when you're trying to take your kid to school is insane. Okay, you were talking about that we have, the problem with the buses being late, but you did not indicate anything about every other block has construction going on. Now, when we have these buses, when we have this one-way lanes going on, and we have cars turning off into residential streets, okay, into where our children are outside playing. Now we have more pollution going into our kids. We have more, you're saying is gonna protect our kids and protect the people, but now you're gonna have slower, once you go from MLK up to Ocean, you're gonna have to put a red light up there to turn on to Ocean. That's right. Okay, so you're slowing everything down anyway, so it's, where's the sense?
All right, y'all, let's get through these questions. I want everybody to feel like their voice was heard.
Okay, my question is, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We seem to be getting more and more people in this city. We can't move now. How are we going to move with one-way bus lanes, one going north, one going south? It's not gonna happen and be successful in Jersey City. We have that big tall building up in Journal Square that's coming. And eventually I feel like Journal Square is gonna be like Times Square. You're not gonna be able to run through there. You're not gonna be able to drive through nothing. So the question is, are you kidding me? Bottom line, it's not gonna be conducive to the city.
I want you to understand what I'm about to say. We have numerous churches, numerous daycares, numerous senior citizen homes, numerous schools along, I'm gonna say Ocean, because we came here about Ocean and MLK. Somewhere along the line, you switched it to Martin Luther King and Bergen. You must get the memo. So listen, if a child lives near Garfield Avenue and they have to go to Ocean to go to the right, to school or senior citizen, whatever, that's like a 2-block radius, just Garfield to Ocean. And then when they come home, you're asking them to come off on MLK and walk another long block from, I'm using Wegman. Wegman from MLK to Ocean is almost like 3 blocks. And then they still got to go down to Garfield. So I'm gonna just be honest with you, none of y'all can do that. All right. So let's be thinking about what we're doing and stay on the subject of Ocean Avenue and MLK. You can do the Bergen thing later. Let's stay on the topic.
My question is, what's the benefit? You're saying it's going to benefit. It's just going to make more mayhem. Like it's not going to work. I'm just up here to say no. It's not going to work. Like we've been here all our lives. That never happened. Did it to Bergen, you gave people bike lanes, they don't use it, they can't kill. Half of Jersey City ain't got a lane right now because they don't use the bike lane. They made the bike lane. So it's not gonna work.
That's right. Keep going.
I do have a question to ask, but I was wondering if it's possible, excuse me, the young lady who came up first, Ms. Schofield. Is it possible? I'm sorry, Ms. Schofield. Is it possible you can scroll back through your laptop from when you started, please? Because there's a question I would like you to answer. I have just one simple question to ask you. It was 45 minutes ago when she started. That's why I needed to ask her a
To the
question.
beginning, what's the
The
first
question
slide?
was on
The
that
first
time.
slide, Erica.
Oh,
Where
okay.
she
You want to
started.
see?
The first
Okay.
slide.
Go back to the
One
first
simple
slide.
question to ask you.
Okay.
Right, no, at the bottom.
Right.
Right there.
Right there. Yeah. There you go.
Was it there?
No, she was saying she.
What was it about, young fella?
All right, how about you? You come in, we're going to next.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what?
Redo it, and then you
sit
can go
right there
next
and
for your
look at the
question.
No, we can say, I just want to say, start at the top one. Create an inclusive transportation system that accommodates people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds. I only have one question. I only have one question. How?
Sure, that's a good question. So the way we think about all ages and abilities, we look at from whether you're a child, we want to make sure you're safe, that you have opportunities to move about with your parents, to walk to school, to bike to school, to take buses, all the way to folks who need to use wheelchairs or mobility devices, who might not be able to drive, could be older people. So the way we do that is through our sidewalks, through bike lanes, protected bike lanes for people who are wanting to use a bike to get around, for transit. And so for the transit, we want to make sure we can expand through things like VIA, where you can get rides all throughout the city. So we're trying to provide options, whether you drive, whether you can't drive, whether you just don't want to drive. So that's the idea, is to make it safe, whatever way you want to get around. And so we're trying to provide lots of choice, lots of options.
But you still don't have these choices of options as of yet.
We're always working on it. So it's through things like the transportation master plan. So that's something we might not get to tonight, but please, everyone, we have a survey out. You can ask us for the link to the survey. And it's about how you want to move in the future. And so any way that you're wanting to, please let us know, because we're planning for the next 10 years of the city's transportation right now.
Okay. Next.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to know, first of all, what implement this had changed? Why? I want to know the reason why you implementing these lane changes, and also how come you haven't considered the seniors going from their doctor's appointment to wherever, coming out their house, going to the corner. Okay, after they go to the corner and catch that bus, how in the heck they gonna return in that same area, that same corner? Tell me. I like to know. And furthermore, all of y'all, how come you haven't took the time to talk to a senior, or either took a bus ride with a senior and see how much discomfort it is going from one place to another place in Jersey City?
Well, this again, the mayor put out a tweet. Their test would bring into realization the tweet that the mayor put out. This is why I'm saying that this is bad leadership, because everybody lose here, right? You don't improve transit. You make people lives like this. It's just bad leadership all the way around. There's really no other way to put it.
So my question is not for them. My question is for you, actually. I just recently started voting. People have been telling me all my life, you need to vote, and I ignored it, and I had my own personal biases. But I did vote, and I voted for you, right? And I would like to know, since I started voting, how come we don't get a say or a vote on instances like this? You understand what I'm saying? When things like this happen, the people need to be able to have not just input in a town hall meeting where half information is being given. They have no answers. They keep telling you that they'll get back to you, right? So why don't we have an opportunity to have a citywide community vote on things that impact us directly? What can be done? What can you propose? What can you put in place so that we can try to have a situation where we can have more than just, you know, suggestions being brought out, but we can actually have a vote to make sure things like this doesn't happen? What can be done?
Well, that's why we had this meeting so I can show the administration the way that they doing things doesn't work for the South Side, right? You can't be a doctor and tell the patient you're gonna perform heart surgery and don't tell that patient why heart surgery is important, right? So this is why we have these forums so they can hear, because for the last 8 years, they just wrote me off as anti-administration, right? And all I'm essentially saying is, if you're going to affect my day-to-day life, let me be a part of the decision, right? So this is what this is for. They're watching, it's being recorded, it's going to be talked about, and this is what it's for, to give everyone a voice. Everyone's voice needs to be included. I don't care about your socioeconomical status. I don't care about how organized you is as a group. I don't care about a voting block. Everybody's voice has to be included, right? And this is the message that we're sending to them. Because the reality is questions are being proposed and leadership is saying, oh, we haven't crossed that bridge. So why would you put out anything in the first place? You shouldn't put out anything. Furthermore, it's bad leadership to tweet about something so instrumental without having real communication, at the very least with an elected representation of the area. Right? So this is what that's for. We want to make sure that our voices are included in all the decisions that's going to affect us.
Hello. First thing everybody want to know, do any of y'all live in Jersey City? How long you been in Jersey City? How long? How long you been in Jersey City? All right. So in other words, you can't answer the question because you haven't been in Jersey City that long. Okay. Also, we had this sort of type meeting about liberty. Now the animals is running all over the damn place. Gophers, raccoons, skunks. You didn't think about Liberty Park with the animals. So I guess we animals too. You ain't thinking about us. I've been in Jersey City all my life. As far as safety for the children, the first thing they teach you when you step off the curb, look both ways. I saw a pigeon. A pigeon knew how to get out the way of a bus. Keep from being hit. You go downtown, they step off the curb with their cell phone, and you're supposed to go on. Right. They even had a sting to give people tickets behind that foolishness. I live on Ocean Avenue.
Thank you.
So don't tell me about the traffic. When I moved there, I can get in and out of my driveway. I can do crap now for about 10 minutes. You keep putting up buildings. These people ain't taking buses, skates, bicycles. They're driving cars. If you don't accommodate for cars, you're wasting your breath. Okay? They're still putting up buildings. I was fighting against buildings, but you don't care. Y'all getting paid to do what y'all do to make us look like we crazy. But we are not falling for the banana in the tailpipe.
Good evening. I would just like to state that it was noticed, young lady, when you did your presentation, you skipped over the bikes. It was noticed. And it also seems like you tell these guys what questions to answer. I also have a question. Do any of the people who have come up with these changes ever or currently use Jersey City public transportation? Do any of you? Okay, there you go.
Hold on, let me go to Tammy first, because she's. Oh, okay. I don't want you to stand too long with your.
I'm good. I'm gonna act. No, she's good. We don't want to cut the line. We're trying to be fair, right? So thank you. Right? I appreciate that. So I want to say for the record, right now, this is Reverend Tammy Weaver Henry, resident, born and raised in Jersey City. I'm not wearing my hat as the chair of the Jersey City Women's Advisory Board. I'm not wearing my hat as the chaplain for the Jersey City Police Department, nor am I wearing my hat as a
Candidate.
person that's running for city council, period. I'm here as a resident. I want to make that very, very clear. My question is, on this dream team for the one-way streets, is there anyone besides you that look like us? Now, I'm actually waiting for the answer. Is there anybody on this team that looks like us? Because it said we care about the black and brown people, but is there anyone on this team that is black and brown? This is the team. Okay, so with that being said, I want to be very, very, very clear. We've spoken. This will not happen. We will mobilize. We will strike. We will stand in front of anybody's house that is necessary. No longer will we allow changes to be made for our community without our community input. It's over. Those days are done. They're gone. Period. I just want to be very clear that it's me speaking and not any of the hats that I've been wearing. A few things that were said, even when it came to public safety, transportation, and or public safety vehicles. Something has to be done. We'll circle back. It seems like every single thing that is important to these changes that you guys want to propose, it has not been discussed. Not only is this irresponsible, it is disrespectful. I know you're in control and you'll pass it down the line. No, I mean, but here you are. It's clear. But at the end of the day, it's over. It's not going to happen. That's all I wanted to say. All right.
I just, Councilman, if I can just respond. Okay, I just want to say, I understand everything that you're saying. I hear what you said. I want to just reiterate that there are a lot of decisions related to this that are not in our control. We don't know if.
Hey, look at me. Yeah.
And you're right, there are a lot of things that we don't have answers to right now because of the time that was given from when this was announced to us coming to this meeting and putting this together. So you're 100% right, but there's a lot that hasn't been thought about. There's a lot of studies that haven't been done. There are a lot of questions that we don't have answers to, and I acknowledge that, and that is the reason why.
Thank you. Thank you for your response.
Sure.
And you guys can definitely clap for when I'm done. But all I wanted to say is thank you for your response. But what this administration has failed to realize, the community has agita right now. They can't sleep at night knowing what's going to happen because so often, and I failed to ask this a couple of seconds ago, regardless of the community's response right now, will this still go for a reading?
We don't know that.
Okay.
It's something that would be decided either by the mayor or by the administration. That's not a decision we make.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't have the answer on whether this is going to go to an ordinance or not.
Thank you for your honesty.
You're welcome. And I understand it's frustrating that we can't answer questions. It's frustrating for us to not be able to say,
right,
this is what it is. But here's what I do know is that we were asked to take this idea that was presented, lay it out to see if it would even fit on the streets, what it would look like, how it would work. And within the time frame that we have, this is what we were able to come up with the resources we have. There are a lot of gaps. Yeah. There are a lot of holes that we can't fill. And at this point, I don't know, and we don't know what is going to happen. If it's going to move forward, if, I heard the feedback before we even got here, and I didn't want to assume that that was everyone's perspective, but I know. I heard it, and I heard it before the questions started, and I hear what the criticisms are and why. There is a gap in the process happening here, and I understand why you're saying this is not respectful and not the correct way of going about this plan. And there are a lot of things here that are unknown that, I personally probably agree with, or different members of the team probably agree with. But the thing that we were asked to do for today is just go through the thought exercise of, if this were to happen, what would it look like and how would it work? And so that's what they worked on. But the truth is, after this meeting, I don't know if a decision is going to be made to put this to the council vote. And if it is presented to the council, I don't know if it's going to pass first reading or not. All of those are things that I unfortunately can't speak to.
Right. Thank you. I don't want to belabor the time, Bergen. Thank you for that. I don't want to belabor the time because other people have questions. But you said several times If it move, it's not gonna move forward. I just wanna make sure.
So first, I just want to send my condolences to Cypress Lamb, who posted out here. Sorry, I didn't feel about that. My question isn't really rooted in like the countless problems that will arise if this plan is implemented. It's rooted in how you're actually going to implement this plan. Last year, 2024, they did some work on Garfield Ave that was supposed to take a few months. It ended up shutting down the block for almost a year. Okay? Whenever any street work is done in Jersey City, it goes way beyond schedule and it costs way too much money. If you're planning on changing all these two-way streets into one-way streets, how are you gonna do it in a way that doesn't go way beyond schedule and doesn't cost taxpayers a disgusting amount of money? Also, short question on top of that, how much time did it take you to put this presentation together? Because my money's on 10 minutes or less.
Where you going today? I think that everybody here is working off of what they've seen before. We are all witnesses to traffic on every street due to the little cones that you're putting up at the end of the block. The bicycle lanes, I really don't know what these cones are made for or what they're supposed to protect. But we're all here witnessing the slowdown of everything. And it looks like you guys have only taken into consideration buses. Now, I don't know about you, how you get to work or how you get around, but each and every one of these people have to do grocery shop. How do you carry groceries on a bus? We have multiple kids going to different schools, so we have to drop off in the morning. How is that gonna work on a bus? Everything is geared around this bus, but we haven't talked to New Jersey Transit and improving their system. They're the ones who need to be talked to and develop a better bus system. Because this is gonna put I mean, how does somebody go to the doctor with a bad back on the bus? There's so many things that you're thinking about, only buses, but not cars. We're like I said, when you come on down Montgomery and you want to turn on Bergen, now you've cut the whole corner off. You can even turn. You put a big planter in the way, and now the bikes can't even go around. They can't even take a shortcut. So I'm not understanding it, and I'm sure a lot of these people don't understand what's going on right now. And that's why you're getting so much feedback.
Good evening. First, let me just say that you are not being indicted today because we know you're just a messenger. However, I'd like to just ask to make sure that I'm clear that I heard Ms. Baraka say that it was about a month you guys put this together. You started in June, so a little over a month that you guys put this together. No disrespect, but I feel very insulted that you would come tonight, and not just you would come with us and all the proposals. I worked in corporate America for a long time for president of a company. And anytime we did a presentation, if anybody had a question, we had to be able to answer. We were not able to say to them, we'll get back to you. Because when you do a presentation, you have to know the facts to give it. So everything you said tonight was pretty much, we have it concluded. We don't know. And when you come in front of a whole room of people and say you don't know, you leave us with this unanswered questions. And so we're still leaving tonight. Thank you, Councilman Gilmore, for at least bringing us together, but we don't have answers tonight. So all the questions that were answered and that were sent, this is our time and this is our community. And I reiterate what Tammy said, and I've been in this resident for all my life. And I want to just say to you, as she said, you're not in our ward. You don't know what we go through. And it is really important that you really take this back to your leader and tell your leader that we said, as she said, it's not gonna happen.
to this with Councilman Gilmore, with a team sitting up in front from Jersey City, doing surveys and inspections and doing all this, and how much time it would take to do the project that was on Garfield Avenue. Supposed to take 2 months, went a whole year and a half. After a year and a half, they're now digging back to White Street, then dug up the sidewalk again, same money they paid for, and now they're building a whole new Dwight Street in my eyes. So all this on paper seems good, but it doesn't work until you start doing the job. And then you see the inconvenience, because the inconvenience was they did all this survey and said they're gonna do this work, but they didn't take one thing into consideration, parking. So where was people supposed to put their cars? In their house? Where was people supposed to put their cars? I have a handicap spot, and I thank you, Jennifer Wong, for meeting you, and I thank you because this last, you helped me. You helped me a lot, because I fought because they wouldn't provide a handicap spot for me and my neighbor. And you put the ordinance in for the pole on Garfield Avenue. We have been inconvenienced, and everybody goes on anything Bergen, Jersey City, it's about what's on paper. But you need to have consideration for the people that live here and how they inconvenience for people that live here. Because I have been inconvenienced, I've been put in pain, I've had to walk from the light rail and walk up the block. We're dealing with now because people on Freedom don't want us parking over there, people on the block parking over there because they have the parking permits, which we did have, but they went out of existence, but now they're back. We have dealing with, all of this is on paper, with you talking about transportation, you take out, when you put these bike lanes in, and I see it downtown and I see everything in the area, it is not working. Because I have to turn corners where the little white poles is, and I'm going into the next lane to turn the corner. I'm running into the corner. So you have to be mindful when you turn the corner because of the little white poles, which is the purpose. I don't know. Only thing it took was take a parking space away. Because it's running all these people without these little white poles. I understand this is not you, but my thing, and I'm thinking in my head, and I'm gonna be honest right now, Philip is out in November. So if anything takes place, I bet he wants to take place before he leaves out of here in November. So, and that's being honest. Another thing, I live in Ward F. I live in Ward A. Ward A didn't know nothing about this. Gilmore for letting everybody know what's going on in Jersey City. If it wasn't for Jersey, for him, we would not know anything. Nothing is being told to us, nothing is being said to us. And up there, I'm listening, and I'm part of a meeting in my church and stuff. And only thing I kept hearing, they will get back to you. No one get back to you, you put it in the parking lot and you never answer the question. Right.
Hi guys, my name is Shamika Austin. I am a proud resident of Ward F. And while I understand this is a discussion and you guys are just the messengers, we all saw 300, and you guys know what happened to the messenger. I get shot. I mean, like, this is not what we do. It is insulting to come in front of a room full of people and not be prepared. 24 years ago, I joined the organization. I learned the 7 Ps. Piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance. That is exactly what is happening here today. I do have some questions though. Why wasn't downtown considered? We saw your questions about in your data, but you also said a traffic study wasn't done. So if data wasn't done, what did Philip give you to consider this? How was such a wide proposal considered with the data that you reviewed, and was there an exact replica of the impacted neighborhoods to put this presentation together? And I can break it down if y'all need me to go back to the questions.
All right, the first question was, why wasn't
downtown considered?
We don't know. The tweet was, the streets that we were asked to look at were 2 parallel north-south streets, going through so MLK, originally it was Ocean, then we considered Bergen, and then two sets of parallel streets that connect Journal Square up to the Heights, which are the Summit and the Bowl. Those were the streets that were proposed for us to lay out. I'm sorry, can you?
The other question was, I think you said before there was no traffic studies done, but since you didn't have a traffic study, what data did you use to review the creation presentation? Was it an exact replica of these impacted neighborhoods to create your presentation?
No, it wasn't an exact replica, and I'll ask Jen to explain how that system works. Typically, if we were to do a project like this, it would require modeling out the streets that are being considered, and then all of the volume of cars that are driving on those streets. So we have exact numbers of how much traffic is there, how many people are relying on those streets, what movements are they making, where are they going to, where are they coming from. All of that is something that if this were to happen, that we would look at in a traffic study, but not, like I said, none of that has been done. What was used to put this together was historic data that we already have from either the ridership numbers from New Jersey Transit that they have on bus ridership, the volumes that we have historically from the past of how these streets usually operate, and other data collection that may have been done for various purposes. Sometimes they're done for building, sometimes they're done for safety reasons. So it was a collection of all of those things that were put together to try to form a picture. But I think all of us up here would admit that that is not a comprehensive way of laying this out. If we were ever to do a redesign of any street, those are all things that we would look at and require. We're required by industry standards, if it goes into a full design, to do all of those things. And those haven't been done. And the reason that hasn't been done is because that information hasn't been collected. You would have to collect traffic counts to get all of that, and none of that has been done. This is a very, very preliminary, like just the tip of the iceberg kind of analysis of if this were to move forward, what would it look like? That was what we were asked to put together.
Remember when Mayor Fuller first opened up Bergen Avenue for bicycles, stood there near Bergen and Sip, and he said, someone asked, why are you doing this? And he said, well, that's what they're doing in New York, or whatever they're doing in New York must be a good idea, so I want to do it here. Bergen and Sip. You know what that is? One of the most traveled intersections in Jersey City. You have practically every bus that you just mentioned and more, private buses, every car going through that same intersection, but they didn't care. He just took a cookie cutter idea and applied it and created the worst traffic jam in the city. Okay, you have buses going into the terminal and coming out of the terminal. You have cars coming out of at least 12 different parking garages and parking lots. Every car that has to go on Bergen Avenue had to go through that same intersection, and there's only one lane in each direction. And you have college there. You have people who are trying to go into the bank and other institutions there who are double parked. So you have a lane that is for nothing but some yellow stripes in the middle of it. You have a bicycle path, which no one uses because the bikes are on the sidewalk. To this meeting because you said it was about putting one-way streets on Ocean and Martin Luther King. I live on Bergen. I get here and find out that it's going to be Bergen. Kind of ideas about, oh, well, the traffic patterns are going to speed up the traffic on Martin Luther King and on Bergen. No, it won't. Like the beautiful lady over here said, I'm old enough, I grew up in New York. I've lived in Jersey City 20 years. Okay, I know what Vision Zero is about. It's about getting money from the federal government, from the Department of Transportation. It's not about us. But I'm old enough to remember when Madison Avenue and Fifth Avenue in New York were two-way streets. Okay? And you know what they didn't have back then? They didn't have bike lanes. I rode my bike on the street with the cars. Okay? And you didn't have a lot of cross-town traffic backing up the streets. What you need to understand is when you create one-way streets, you create the need for people to make 2 left turns or 2 right turns to go wherever they're going because they can no longer drive up to where they're going. Okay? You talk about transportation from here to Communicore. You obviously never been on Communicore. Okay? You got traffic backed up for hours because they can't get to the bridge because there's a 3-second turning signal at 440. You got people backed up. But the worst part about it is the people who make those 2 turns to get where they're going. And when you create that situation, everything that you just talked about is out the window. Out the window. Because you're not going to speed up the buses, because the people making 2 left turns are going to block the traffic. And I talk about this, and I'm mad about this, because I remember writing Fuller, because I live on the corner of Harrison and Bergen. Anybody who's been to the post office has seen my house. No, look, in the past 2 years, there's been more than 24 accidents there. Okay? You know why? Because nobody stops for the traffic because you have a stop sign. My neighbor right there has been hit in that intersection. Her car was hit 3 weeks ago. And that wasn't the first time. My house has been hit twice.
He lives here.
One car on fire hit a car in front of my garage and both of them exploded. Another car jumped the curb and came into my courtyard. Almost hit the house. Okay? When you talk about creating one-way streets, you have to consider the fact that it's only one way in your head. Okay? You got to deal with those crosstown cars. And all you kept talking about was all traffic in Jersey City is northeast, south. No, it is also east-west. Okay? And there was one question there that mentioned how is it going to impact Black and brown people disproportionately? Look at the people behind me. Okay? It is going to affect us only.
Yes.
If you go downtown, you have streets, narrow streets that are two-way streets. No buses. No problem. You don't care about us.
The highest rate of asthma, emphysema, and COPD is right here in the Black community. You're proposing to make Ocean Avenue and MLK Drive one way with bus lanes. That means that the amount of congestion, the amount of emissions coming from those cars, coming from those buses, is gonna be increased exponentially. Okay, and what's gonna happen is that you invariably are gonna cause the rate of asthma, rate of emphysema, rate of COPD to increase in the Black community, and we're gonna be like a ticking time bomb. Right? So what I'm saying to you is that what you're proposing is not good for the city. All right, it's not good for our community. Okay, and we're not for it. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Isarson. I've been living in Ward F for 71 years. This is a shame, okay? This is how I feel. I live in a senior citizen building. Since you got them little white things there, I walk with a walker. It's so hard for the bus to get to the curb. So I can get on. They go to the next street and wait for me. I want this question asked. I live on Ocean Avenue at the 94 Union Street, senior citizen. Now the 81 comes from Exchange Place to Bayonne. Now which way is you gonna have the bus from Bayonne? You can't change Communiport Avenue if you're gonna make one way. All right, you're not thinking about Ward F. You're thinking about Philip is thinking about he's upset because he wasn't elected. Care nothing about Ward F. Any meeting I come, you see, he going for backup. I don't sugarcoat nothing. Okay? And I fear how you came here. Hate to say, to me, you looked so pitiful, like you was lost, and like you were still in kindergarten.
Good evening. Reverend Brian Hitchcock from the Ocean Avenue Baptist Church. And I'm coming because I watched your presentation. And I found that many of your slides, if not all of them, were disingenuous. You pulled data from 2017 to 2021, but in 2025. You pulled data that showed there was mass casualties on Lembeck Avenue. I live on Lembeck Avenue, and all the traffic accidents and people that have died. I'm still trying to figure out who they are, because I've been over 27 years, so I'm still a little lost. You know, I live down on Prescott Street over here in Ward F. I've lived on Dwight Street. I'm trying to see where the upside for something like this is. I find none. What happens in your presentation, you're looking at stuff and you're not taking into account that there are school buses that run during the school year. I said they have to make stops to pick up the children. You're not taking into account that 2 and 3 buses are running at the same time and not picking up anybody trying to race so they can get an on-time record. So what happens is that you have the 87L and like some 3,300 people, 3,400 people. It's impossible for the city of Jersey City in this ward, from Ward A to Ward F, to have that many people, to have that few people that have actually rode the bus. So it's impossible. If you're gonna come before the people and you're gonna say that we have this presentation, at least come before the people and tell the truth. Said the mayor, because he wants to be disingenuous to the Black and brown people of Jersey City, he wants to just change everything because he wants to make his legacy of destroying everything. You have housing in Jersey City where they haven't taken into account any parking. You're building buildings that have 12, 14, 20, 30 structures, and they only accommodate 3 parking spaces. Yeah. So you're putting the infrastructure back onto the streets. So you're asking us to be able to now take 2-way where we can at least get it up and down through Jersey City, and you're taking away parking spaces, you're taking away other things. It is disingenuous to be able to come before the people and be able to say that, well, you'll be all right. Things will be good. Listen, I hate to use this thing. I said, don't urinate on my head and tell me it's raining. You've heard from the people. This is just a microcosm of the people of my congregation, of the people of the other congregations in Jersey City, of what they're feeling. I said, we're looking at things that are not going to happen. If Jersey City had not decreased, New Jersey Transit had not decreased the amount of bus services that they're offering to people, you wouldn't have some of these problems. You'd be able to move some of the things. We love our children. We want our children to be on the buses. We understand
that the buses have to stop during the daytime. But you can't say because of these issues, you have a traffic problem. And if we just do this, it'll free the traffic problem. It doesn't. A bus still has to stop. A bus just don't move. And you've taken all this stuff and you push it to the side streets. Again, you didn't take into consideration, again, what most people have said, all the infrastructure that you're putting into Jersey City, which absolutely makes no sense. You're putting infrastructure into Garfield Avenue, Dwight Street, and all the other things that you're tearing up the streets. You fix them back up, and then tear them back up again. This is not happening once. It's not happening twice. It's happening multiple times, and it's still going to happen because the city planning hasn't taken into account what they want to do with water, with sewer lines, things like that. They do one and say, "Oh, let's do the other." Tear it back up again. You have senior citizens on Garfield Avenue that had 24 hours worth of construction. I would love to see a jackhammer run in front of your house for 24 hours. See how uncomfortable that is. As everyone has stated, if this is just not going to happen. Not saying we can't have it happen. It is not going to happen. And I thank you so much for your time.
Councilman Gilmore, before the next speakers speak, I just want to say a note real quick. I don't want anybody to cry. No personal attacks. No, like, let's stick to this subject. They say small minds talk about people, big minds talk about ideas. Let's stick to the ideas and the subject matter, and no more personal attacks.
I do want to say that you represent who should be here and take the heat back to him. So you indicated that we would have access to the presentation that you had up today. When will we have access and where?
I downloaded it. I'm sending it out in the next newsletter.
Perfect. You said there were 350 crashes, 2017 to 2021 on the north-south roads, but you didn't break that down. Where were they? And someone had already mentioned you didn't bring it up to 2025.
Sure. So what I can share is that with our crash data, one of the things that happens, so as crashes occur, police fill out a form. That form goes to the New Jersey state, and then they have to clean and enter all of that forms into a database. And so the data isn't available to us right away. So for 2025, 2024, even 2023, they haven't completely cleaned and provided that in a data set to us yet. So that's something, it's a limitation for all of New Jersey. Really, that's very common across the country because there are so many crashes and there's so many details. So that's something that's very typical, that we have a lag in what's available for crash data. One thing we're going to be doing is updating our safety analysis. That's our Vision Zero plan. So we're going to be trying to update the crash data that we have. And then just for simplicity, because we have limited time tonight, we put those the data, we summarized it for the 7 streets. It's something that we do have street by street. And one thing we're going to be doing is providing a database that we're going to put on a dashboard on our website, where we're going to publish crash data, and you'll be able to go to the map and see where the crashes are occurring, see some details about them. So hopefully within the next year or two, that's going to be something that everyone will have access to, because we think it is important that you're able to, look at what's happening in the city and be able to have that data for yourself.
We would be interested in where they occurred, that you chose these 2 streets out of the 7. So we don't want to wait 2 years if this is something that is planned to be implemented in the near future. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we will definitely, if this moves forward, we are going to have a lot more data available, and in a lot more detail. We'll be committed to posting on the website, and it will be around those specific streets. So like Jen mentioned, Bergen, Mike, we would be doing the traffic studies, and those would have every intersection on these streets in a lot of detail. That's what's typical once you get past the idea stage and get into actually designing, you would get that detail every intersection.
All right, and on the presentation, it says the expectation was that 7,500 bikers would be able to be moved in the traffic. That was one of the presentations. We see nominal use of bike lanes and bikes.
Sure, so the graphic that was shown is, it's the potential for the space to move that many people. So here in Jersey City, we certainly don't see that many bicyclists using a lane. We're not at that point. There are other places that do see that kind of level of usage. What we do see, I can share on streets like Bergen Avenue, we do have counters and we do count how many bicyclists. And on a daily basis, there are more than 1,000 bicyclists using the bike lane. And so it's not an insignificant amount. And so, you know, we're trying to plan for this all ages and abilities, giving people choices and improving safety. And so that's why we're, you know, trying to look at where it makes sense to put bike lanes versus bus lanes and other types of improvements to really provide those options and choices.
So the use of that information makes it lends itself to our belief that the demographic for whom you are planning is not the demographic in this room. Right. We've watched this thing change. The demographic that exists downtown did not look like that for those of us who grew up. So my family represents 3 generations in Jersey City. There's other generations, 6 generations in Jersey City. So nothing that is happening downtown represents anything we grew up with. And I remember when Fuller walked through this community when he first ran for office and made the promise he would live among us and promptly moved to the Heights. And he promptly instituted Make Jersey City Yours, but he was not talking to us, which is why downtown looks like New York City. Thank you. And why downtown is a community that is pedestrian based. We are not pedestrian based. And the benefits of that community have not come up this way. You have parking spaces have been eliminated by city bikes. We don't use them. Supposed concerns of citizens pretending that you present, that it pretends that we are a pedestrian community. We are not. That's downtown. And majority of us who used to shop downtown don't go there because there's no parking space. We are sure that was by design because this demographic has become more and more shrunken. And we are not blind to that. You have to take the heat back to your leader. We are not attacking you, but you're here representing him. You cannot take it personally. You get high enough salaries to put your feelings to the side. To your leader. So it's not personal, it is business. We are here on business. You might have to have some confidence from this community. If we did not already see you have not done a stellar job in McGinley Square, on Grove Street, on Jersey Avenue, on Erie Street, on Journal Square. Did I say that already? On Mallory. See what you're doing. You're thinking with the understanding of people who grew up here and knew that all the businesses on Grove Street were going to shut down. And what is it? Restaurant Row. Because there's no delivery access to the back doors, but the back doors didn't exist. And your division, your mayor said, oh, they can deliver to the back door. Back doors didn't exist. So those were my comments. And then now it comes to, I am a citizen who wrote to Michael Manzella and Jennifer Wong, October 1st, 2024. I said I had 4 concerns. We need a 4-way stop on Claremont Avenue. It is a school, there's a school and a church there. And people use it as a speedway. It's almost October 2025. There's no 4-way stop. I said the traffic heading toward Caven Point Road, toward Liberty Park, headed into it, you could have 2 lanes so that they could be a turn lane down Kingdom Point Road to reduce the congestion. And coming out of the park, there could be a single lane because that's just how traffic works. We already do that. Finally, heading down toward Liberty Park on the bridge, there is no safe way for pedestrians and bikes to travel. And I expressed those concerns October 1st, 2024. We are almost a year later. Thank you. He had the decency to respond to me. I have not heard from you, Michelle. So Mike said a traffic study is required to install a multi-stop control. Where is it? You have to do traffic studies. We're in the midst of thinking this stuff is going to be implemented. And for everything we asked you, basically you said, no idea. No studies done. We don't know. We want your ideas. You're going about this after letting the horses out of the barn. You know, you're not supposed to be doing it that way. And then according to you, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority is responsible for the traffic flow and I guess the sidewalk being repaired. I still haven't heard anything about a study for my street or how to be kept informed about what you have said you would pass on to the New Jersey Turnpike Authority. Now, this is a letter, an email I sent to you. And it's always my understanding that one written communication represents 10% of the population and it's dead in the water. But you got this stuff going on. Did some party of our community say, wow, we need one ways? No. You haven't come and talked to us. You don't listen to us when we reach out to you. I appreciate your response, but it has come to nothing. So this community does not have a lot of faith in. Someone said your presentation is disingenuous. You put it together 2 months ago. Most of us have corporate backgrounds. We are not stupid here. Thank you. It is very insulting to tell us we have no idea. Thank you. You say it's not your fault, but your salaries are high enough for you to be professional and prepared for this community, like I am sure you are prepared for communities that do not look like this demographic, that look more like this.
So, you know, like many people are saying, you know, one size does not fit all. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael Griffin, resident here in Jersey City. One size does not fit all, right? And what bothers me and many people in here is that for 12 years, this administration has ignored this community. We have potholes, we have street signs that we can't read. We've been looking for traffic lights forever. To go around the community and bring something here that no one discussed. No, I mean, how are seniors that live on Arlington and Randolph going to walk to Bergen Avenue for the bus? That doesn't make any sense. None unless it's the bus going up and down Claremont Avenue or a trolley or something. Let me not give y'all ideas. You know, it's important to know that, you know, this community, many people, there are generations here. These people, there's a couple of people that probably like just moved in here, but someone just, the young lady I was speaking, she turned around and looked at me and said, which Oliver are you? Like people, like we can look at each other and know who we are, know the faces. Someone can't do that. We need a GPS to get up there. You know? Mad because Roz was running around Jersey City doing his thing, coming in second place, he coming in third. You know how he feel about black people, about black men. He sat down with me and Frank and treated us like we were one swing out of a tree. Telling us that this was about being
about being tell us, it's about street safety, about crime, about crime. Telling us it's about crime because the criminals only have one direction to go. Understand why we feel the way we feel. Understand that. Right? And that's all I gotta say.
That is a serious issue in Jersey City just because I walk a lot of places. I use public transportation a lot of places on purpose. However, I don't see these updated traffic signs. I don't see more, what do you call them? I don't know. Give me one.
What do you know?
I don't see signal retiming. I don't see leading pedestrian intervals, which means you kind of like in McGinley Square, you give the pedestrian a couple extra seconds, make it known for the roadways and new people who don't know about it. There has to be a lot of other things before you just come to a community and inundate them with inconveniences like this. This is extreme inconvenience. We're not unreasonable people. We want everyone to be safe. This just does not seem like the way to do that. That's what I'm trying to figure out what this is about. I still don't know. Like I said, I guess this didn't come from you guys. I get that. But it's not a solution to safety. Traffic flow, I don't know. I don't think turning any of these into a one-way is gonna make New Jersey Transit better. That's a whole different company. That's a whole different ballgame, and there should be more accountability for them to make their situation better. I don't believe it's because of what we have going on here. Construction is an issue though for them. I do acknowledge that. It's an issue for them. It's an issue for school buses. So imagine that for a school bus who have these interval pickups on these main corridors. It just doesn't seem realistic at 8 a.m. Like it just, how? So that's why I was just trying to wait for what was this about. But I get you. I still don't know. Like, what are we doing? That was all.
Ms. Dan is gonna be the last person. We could speed this up and it's 8:40. It's 8:46. If you got questions, please just get your question out the way.
My name is Gladys Rivera, aide to Councilwoman Denise Ridley. The Councilwoman could not be here tonight because she is being harmed. Councilwoman could not be here tonight because she's being honored by Family Promise of Hudson County for her work in creating more affordable housing in the city through the Bayfront Project. She needs to be there to accept the honor. At this time, the council has not received any planned changes for MLK and Ocean Avenue. She is aware that this change is not something the community is in favor of. And if the change ever comes up for a vote, she intends to vote with the community. I am here if you need her card. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Sorry, I'm ready to go. My name is Paula Gordon. I'm an educator in Jersey City, New Jersey. I'm from Jersey City, born and raised. Last year, I was happy to welcome back Garfield Avenue. It was a torturous 3 or 4 years. And from what I can see, the torture has returned. Secondly,
God bless us all at 3 o'clock when everybody is picking up their students from school because it sounds like a traffic disaster. Furthermore, cycling being up 0.8% was enough for y'all to turn downtown into a jigsaw puzzle. And the Uber Eats bikers don't even use the bike lanes. They're still bobbling and weaving with me. So now that transportation is down, we feel the need to add bus lanes. As an educator, the math isn't mathing. And I need y'all to make it make sense. Lastly, I was looking at the getting to work by mode posters, the purple one over there in the corner. I was reading through the books and pamphlets. I said, don't ask any questions if it's in the books and pamphlets. So that's why I'm last in line where I was. If someone could pull that up, that'd be great. If not, it's okay. It said working from home is up by 22%. Cycling is up 0.8%. Driving is down 33%. Public transportation is down 37%. I understand that this data represents Jersey City at large, but these numbers are severely skewed by downtown Jersey City. I understand the thousands of people downtown per skyscraper are huddled up by every pump station and subsequently don't feel the need for a vehicle anymore. Fair enough. So we have a different culture in Greenville. We have a different culture in Ward. And I find it hard to believe that driving is down in Greenville by 33%. So this is my question. I wanted to know, is there a study done on the transportation patterns for Ward F? Just Ward F. And pardon me, thank you. If not, I would like for there to be a study done on transportation patterns in Ward F. And can we, and can we please have it presented to the people? If it ends up on the docket, but it ain't gonna happen. So that's a real question though. Is there a study done on Ward F and A, transportation mode, downtown, skew the numbers?
So the numbers that you were talking about were for the overall city. And the numbers specifically were commuting trips. Right. So it's not necessarily representative of every trip that happens. It is a fact that since the pandemic, you know, the work from home percentages are higher. The transportation plan is looking at trip patterns, both origin and destination for the whole city. We can break it down and take a look for Greenville specifically.
And can you break it down by the areas in which you want to add a one-way street going this way and a one-way street going the other? That's what we need the study done on. Downtown has nothing to do with what y'all trying to, y'all turn downtown into a jigsaw puzzle. You know? We are worried about up here. Thank you, I appreciate you. Have a great evening.
And I wanted to thank you guys all for this panel, well, for this presentation. But if I would have submitted this to my 7th grade teacher, I would have gotten an F. Yeah.
I was very concerned about the seniors and their mode of transportation. Because I do, occasionally I will take the bus and I see that they have a hard time walking to getting on the bus and all of that. How would you consider that is a homework assignment that really should have been done prior to getting here? Because that is a consideration. We do have many seniors in the community. And I have to say that there is a meeting that was happening with the mayor. There was a meeting already. It's a council meeting that they have at City Hall. And I don't think that many people are informed about that. And I just found out about how to find out about the meeting. And because Councilman Gilmore is very transparent and informing us about meetings. They don't probably were able to hear, but that was, this meeting was discussed this matter. And we didn't know about
I don't think that, and I do have to say that I am a biker, I do bike. And, so consider me when you see me on the road, let me get through there. And I do think that it's healthy bike, I do, and I know that there are many people that you drive and ride on your car and all of that, and so that is a consideration also. I'm not trying to diminish that at all. What I'm trying to do is say that there's going to be an integration. It's happening all over the world, that people bike and drive, okay? So, maybe all of the people here might be more drivers than bikers. But one thing about the voice that's happening is that it's a consideration to think, why is it happening in our community? So if it was a whole city kind of thing happening, we'd be like, okay, well, we can't say it's not happening over there and it's just happening over here, but it's happening over here and not over there. So that's a little bit of a concern. Okay, so I just wanted to say that, and to please say, be informed about the, just know what's happening, and he's gonna help us do that too. So thank you.
Just like to share some things that I think that should be thought about. Because one, I have not seen any of those things on the street where the traffic data actually gets collected, the things you put on the ground. I haven't seen those. So I'm trying to figure out about the data. I heard that it was data up to 2021, but of course, as you stated, sir, since 2021, many people were still working from home and not back at work yet. And so that data is severely flawed. And there's nothing presented to illustrate how schools would be affected by these corridors, because the reality is that all the traffic action involving movement takes place during rush hours and school pickup and drop off. There are no issues outside of that. Bergen is bad now. Allowing parking to some of the corners blocks the red zone that we used to have from seeing cars when you turn onto these arteries, which is probably causing most of your accidents. I want you to look at having police officers or traffic officers help move the traffic along bottlenecks like they do in New York. I drive Canal Street, there's somebody in the middle of the street moving that traffic along. We don't have that. We have a situation right here at Ocean, Danforth, and Cater that we can't resolve. And we asked the principal to try to get something done, but they say, oh, well, because of the charter school, this, that, and the other. That's a problem, and it needs to be addressed because that blocks up a lot of traffic. Last thing I want to say is, because an elder shared this with me, please add to your question, has any environmental impact statement been pursued to understand the negative impacts of the proposed one-way streets on Ocean and MLK that would be had on our communities? Thank you.
And, so with regards to the last portion, environmental impacts, I know people, had brought that up because they were saying basically if we look to turn one-way MLK in Ocean, that subsequently more traffic will be on up and down blocks and that more fuels will be. So is there, idling, so is there any studies that has been done from an environmental standpoint affecting those individuals on the up and down? No studies. Okay. All right, Miss Candy, you're the last one.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Glenda Cannon. I'm the co-pastor of Grace Christian Church for 40 years. I just got two questions, true and false. Anybody can answer this question. This is what information that was relayed to me by a Jewish brother. He said that the developers has already been paid to turn these streets into one way. Is it true or false? Is it true or false? It's already been done and they've already been, since you don't know, then fine. Okay. Now I want to go up here and I'm going to turn around and my proposal here is for you all. This is what I want to say to you all, please. I'm a member of NAN, that's the National Action Network, with Reverend Al Sharp. We're marching on Wall Street the 28th of this month. Now, if Mayor Folk don't think enough of us to come to this meeting, then why don't we organize and march to his home?
Hi, guys. My name is Tina Knowles. I want to first thank Education Gilmore for doing this for us. Second of all, we go to these meetings on Wednesday. I go because I work for him, but before I was working for him, I was just going for free. And I thank God for education, Chief Staff Erica, because we came out with this as passing out the flyers, me being in the community, me being out the outreach to let everyone know in the community what's going on. So we already see who's here, right? They're supposed to be running. Who's here, guys? Who's here? They're supposed to be running. Okay, so these people that y'all need to look and make sure, because apparently the rest of them that sit on that board every day that been there for 4 years. Yeah, right? Make sure y'all don't know November 4th or Joseph Side, because when we go to the meeting, they think we're a joke. They think it's a joke. So I thank God for Education and Gilmore. I thank God for teachers, I was like a meeting flyer. I thank God for Alicia for bringing it to me. And I thank God for Gina for dropping the ball, so I'm able to bring them. If anybody need any flyers, any information, y'all can call me, text us, let us know. We will drop them off. We will drop off at every single house every month that we come out, because I need y'all to know what's going on in the community. Because it's very important. Not only on the outreach for Education to give, I for Jerry. It's very important for us to know what's going on in our community, because now they're gonna take our community.
All right, everyone, I do wanna thank everyone, for coming out today. We did, fill the survey. It was over 700 people who participated. Please feel free to make sure you register, subscribe to the website so you can have access to take the survey. And also, if you took it, I ask that you take it again after the presentation to see if your thoughts have changed on that survey. And we will share those results with everyone. I do want to thank Barker and her team for coming. And I just want to say this. I just want to say this, man. In light of all of the uncertainty that's going on with this proposal, in light of us not knowing if transit is exactly on board, in light of us not knowing exactly how this would affect the community from a data analyst standpoint, I just can't support any proposal that's flawed like this because of the impact it's going to have on the people here in Jersey City. So with that being said, the administration is well within a right to put forth this proposal after tonight's meeting with so much uncertainty, even in the lack of negligence from the mayor's office. I just can't foresee them putting this on the council agenda in September. And I will say this, I do feel bad for Barker and her team, because the reality is when you have these jobs and the mayor give you a directive, that you have to do it. You have to do it. So with that being said, I think that, everyone's voices have been heard. I do think that we do need safety improvements in Jersey City. I want that to be clear and on the record, that I do think we need safety improvements on the corridor of MLK, on the corridor of Ocean. In fact, I've been fighting, I've been fighting with the administration for the last 3 years to use the money that the state gave us to improve MLK. They gave us money for all type of infrastructure improvements. And when I looked at the grant, I seen that lights were installed on Van Voss, and I know that Van Voss is not on MLK, right? So It's really not a conversation about infrastructure improvement when we had the money to make infrastructure improvements and we didn't use it. And it was free money because it came from the state. So without further ado, well, in the interest of time, if we want to, can we just skim through the survey just to look at some of the results that came in? And as always, feel free to reach out to us. We try to be as transparent as an office as possible. You know, sometimes it get us in trouble because they say, "Oh, you're presenting things without all of the facts," and I was like, "Well, I'm presenting the facts that's available.
Right.
I can't talk about the plan in totality if I haven't seen it. I can only talk about what I have seen and what I have witnessed." So we'll briefly go through that, and then y'all ain't got to go home. But no, y'all got to get out of here. But we'll briefly, hold on, let's briefly, let's go through these slides. It's probably like 3 or 4 slides. All right. Oh, you got the mic.
Okay, so, we put together a list of the frequently asked questions, as you already saw. We also put together a list of the most common concerns. And you guys, thank you so much for speaking out and clicking the link and scanning the QR code. Over 700 respondents. And out of those 700 respondents,
I messed that up. Yeah, I ain't, oh, okay.
Out of those 700 respondents, 444 mentioned the increased traffic congestion. One person said 1 lane on Ocean and MLK will send more people into the side streets, creating traffic jams. This will bottleneck traffic during rush hour. 119 people mentioned the effect on residents and their quality of life. One person saying it will make the area more dangerous for children walking to school. Another person said, I live on Garfield. It will be harder to move around the neighborhood. 106 people talked about having longer travel times and being inconvenienced. One person said long detours will make it harder to get across town. And another person said this will delay travel for people who rely on direct routes. 98 mentions about negative impacts on local businesses. Businesses will lose customers who can't easily access them, and deliveries will be delayed or rerouted, costing more. And 54, this is the number 5 most concerned comment or topic. 54 people talked about the impact on emergency services. One person was an actual firefighter who said, as a firefighter in the district, this will slow emergency response times. And another person said ambulances and police will be delayed reaching calls. So we just want to let you know, we combed through your responses, and we're still combing through it, and we value your responses. So keep on responding, keep on showing up. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here. Over 100 people on Zoom as well.
Okay. With that being said, we will be informed. I'll work closely with infrastructure to make sure everyone's informed and abreast of everything that's going on. With that being said, you guys be great on purpose. What? Amen. Oh, we gotta move all this stuff back.
That's for you. You said question. They get